Lines were crossed, reputations were shattered, and SmackDown on February 20th, 2026 turned into a battlefield that nobody backstage will ever forget. What happened wasn't just an attack. It was a calculated humiliation broadcast to the world. The MFTs didn't just leave bodies in the ring. They left a warning stamped across the entire roster. Ilja Dragunov, Matt Cardona, Apollo Crews. 3 names, 3 statements, 1 massacre. Before we break this down, I need you locked in. After what you saw, are the MFTs the most dangerous faction on SmackDown right now, yes or no? Drop it in the comments immediately. Because what unfolded wasn't chaos.
It was strategy.
The night started with intensity radiating from Ilja Dragunov. Every step he takes feels like a march into war. There's something unhinged about his energy, something that makes opponents hesitate before even locking up. Quick question. Who on SmackDown matches Dragunov's raw intensity? I'll wait. The match was brutal from the jump. Chops echoing through the arena. Forearms landing like sledgehammers. Dragunov doesn't wrestle. He survives and inflicts damage at the same time. But something felt off. Camera cuts. Awkward pauses. A tension in the air that didn't belong to just one match. And then it snapped. The MFTs stormed the ring without music. No warning. No theatrics. Just movement.
Fast.
Coordinated. Purposeful. Dragunov swung back immediately. Of course he did. That man doesn't know how to stay down. But numbers are undefeated when the timing is perfect. 3-on-1.
Boots.
Elbows. A swarm of calculated violence. Here's the part that should make every fan furious. It wasn't random. Every strike had intent. Every stomp had rhythm. This was rehearsed. Do you respect dominance more when it's clean or when it's ruthless? Be honest in the comments. Dragunov tried to rise from his knees, throwing elbows blindly. The crowd roared, hoping for a comeback moment. Hope lasted about 3 seconds. Because the MFTs cut it off instantly. That's when the arena exploded. Matt Cardona's music hit. Now think about that. Cardona walking into a 3-on-1 ambush. Bold? Stupid? Opportunistic? You decide. Drop your take. Was Cardona saving Dragunov or chasing the spotlight? Chair in hand, Cardona ran in swinging. 1 member down. Another staggered. Crowd on their feet. For a split second, momentum shifted. And that's when the trap closed. Blindside shot from behind. Chair ripped away. Cardona isolated. What followed wasn't just a beatdown, it was dissection. 1 holding him upright. 1 delivering strikes. 1 directing traffic like a general. Have you ever seen a new faction operate this in sync this quickly? Name 1 if you can. Cardona crumpled beside Dragunov. 2 bodies down. SmackDown already in shock. And then came Apollo Crews. This was different energy. Apollo didn't rush blindly. His face showed calculation. He knew exactly what he was walking into. Apollo Crews might be the most athletically gifted superstar on that roster. Strength, agility, explosiveness. When he fires up, it's spectacular. And for a moment it worked. Springboard strike, dropkick, moonsault. All 3 members staggered. Crowd came alive again. Trivial check. What move did Apollo land that got the loudest pop? Commented if you caught it. Momentum was shifting again. Then came the mistake. Apollo turned his back for half a second. That's all predators need. The regroup was immediate. Clinical. Ruthless. 3-on-1 again. Dragunov down. Cardona down. Apollo isolated. And here's what makes this terrifying. There was no panic in the MFT's movements. No scrambling. No shouting. Just execution. Have you noticed how factions that last always move with purpose? This felt like the birth of something long-term. Each victim was lined up. Dragunov first. A crushing finisher that echoed through the building. Cardona next. Laid out flat, staring at the lights. Apollo last. Driven into the mat with authority. Silence followed. No celebration. No taunting. Just 3 fallen superstars and 3 men standing tall. That image matters. Because dominance without words is more intimidating than any promo. Now, let's talk psychology. Why these three? Ilja Dragunov represents unbreakable resilience. Taking him down sends a message to anyone who prides themselves on toughness. Cardona represents reinvention and momentum. Neutralizing him tells every rising star that spotlight doesn't equal safety. Apollo Crews represents pure athletic excellence. Destroying him sends a warning to anyone relying on talent alone. See the pattern? Different archetypes. Same fate. This wasn't random. This was a statement to the entire locker room. If you're a superstar watching this backstage, what's your move? Step up next week or stay quiet. Answer that honestly. Because fear spreads fast. But revenge spreads faster. Ilja Dragunov does not stay broken. Pain fuels him. Every time someone tries to end him, he comes back more violent. Do you think Dragunov demands revenge immediately or waits for the perfect moment? Cardona has built a career on turning humiliation into opportunity. Reinvention is his specialty. Imagine him aligning with someone unexpected to counter the MFTs. Who would be the perfect partner? Apollo Crews has been underestimated before, and every time he evolves. That might be the fatal error here. Instead of eliminating threats, the MFTs might have created an alliance. Think about that trio united by revenge. Dragunov's brutality, Cardona's cunning, Apollo's explosiveness. Would you want to see that six-man war? Yes or no? And here's something nobody's talking about. What if this was about recruitment? Break down 3 warriors. See who adapts. See who survives. Twisted? Absolutely. But possible. Because the way the MFTs stood over those bodies, it didn't feel like random destruction. It felt like the start of control. SmackDown hasn't felt this unstable in a long time. Commentators were stunned.
Crowd angry.
Social media already erupting. That silence at the end of the segment was louder than any music cue. Trivial detail for the real fans. What was Ilja Dragunov clutching after the final blow? If you noticed, comment it. Moments like this shift eras. If management doesn't respond, what message does that send? Open season? Lawless SmackDown? Factions dominate when authority hesitates. So what happens next week? Immediate retaliation? A 6-man tag announced? One of the 3 injured to raise the stakes? If you were booking this, what's your move? Because right now, power has shifted. The MFTs didn't just attack 3 superstars. A warning was delivered to the entire roster. Dominance attracts followers. Fear creates silence. Revenge creates legends. On a scale of 1 to 10, how dangerous are the MFTs right now? Who took the most brutal hit of the night? And who strikes back first? Drop every answer in the comments. Share this with someone who thinks SmackDown needed more edge. Because this wasn't just a highlight. This was the ignition point of a war. And wars on SmackDown never stay contained. And here's the part nobody backstage can ignore. This didn't feel like a random power play. It felt like Phase 1. On the February 20th edition of WWE SmackDown, the MFTs didn't cut a promo. They didn't explain themselves. They didn't even smirk for the hard cam. They left. That's confidence. Because when a faction talks, they're trying to convince you. When a faction walks away in silence, they're telling you the damage already speaks. Now think about the structure of what we saw. That combination isn't neat. It's volatile. And volatility beats coordination when emotion hits critical mass. Unless the MFTs were counting on that too. Because the most dangerous factions don't just attack bodies. They manipulate reactions. Ask yourself this. Was the silence at the end of the segment confidence or bait? One more detail. When the camera faded, the crowd wasn't chanting for revenge. They were stunned. Shock is power. Shock freezes movement. And the MFTs just froze an entire arena. Next week will tell us everything. If they speak, they're consolidating. If they strike again, they're escalating. If they recruit, they're expanding. And if Dragunov's eyes looked the way I think they did when he was on his knees, then this isn't over. It's just begun. So I'll leave you with this. Was this dominance? or the spark that creates something even more dangerous. Because on SmackDown, wars don't start with announcements. They start with moments like this. And February 20th, 2026? That wasn't a segment. That was a line being drawn.